Hi, my name is Anna and I have attempted to run every day for 30 days. Let's start with the obvious. Why did I decide to do this? Well, for some of you it might not seem like a big deal, but for me it was, and I'll explain why right now. So, I haven't been moving a lot for the last couple of years, basically since I finished school. I actually used to do running when I was at school. I used to go to classes, track and field classes, and I also used to run with my family. So I am kind of familiar with what it's like to be running, and at that point of my life I actually did enjoy it. So it was easy for me to be fit and to be strong, basically. Right now, as an adult, it's kind of harder to be sporty. So that's why I decided to do this challenge and see if I can still do anything in terms of sports. So basically what I tried to achieve with this challenge was to feel as good as I felt as a teenager running. And obviously there are a lot of benefits of running or doing any kind of physical activity in general. So for me in specific, it was really important to feel like I can endure much. Basically, I really wanted to know that I can do much more physically and to feel better while doing it. For example, as I was doing less and less exercise, I would notice that I can't even go through my resistance training workouts without being out of breath. So that was the main reason why I decided to go running, to take up running again. But another reason is, of course, my appearance. It's something I'm constantly thinking about, and I don't think there's any problem with that, but I do care about the way I look, and the stronger I look and the leaner I look, the better I feel. Okay, so I think if we sum it up, it turns out that I decided to do this challenge to have some fun. Okay, so I think I'm on the 2nd kilometer right now, and it's actually easy today because we've been stopping to make videos. So I'm not as tired as I was when we tried to run about a month ago, I think. So it feels good. Right now I'm running down the hill, so it's super easy. I guess I'll see you up the hill. This is me after going up the hill. So let's start by talking about the first week. So I started on August 27th, and what I can say about this period is that the hardest part was actually not the running itself, but just going outside. Today's the 2nd day. It's a miracle that I actually went out and I wasn't lazy. And once I was outside, it felt really natural to just give it a little jog. But of course, since my body wasn't prepared for, such endurance exercise, it was difficult for me physically to run the distance that I set for myself. It's the next day. 1 second. 2nd loop. And I feel fine. I don't feel great, but I feel fine. I'm tired, but it feels good. So, the distance that I was running during the first week was approximately 2.5 kilometers. It's not a ton, but it's also a significant amount, in my opinion. And it was difficult. No, I wasn't tired. I wasn't tired at all. So I actually wasn't running the whole way through. I try to run for as long as I can, and if I really, really felt like I want to stop, like my, like heart and lungs don't feel very well, I would not stop. I would just go as slow as humanly possible, or even slower, because that's what I've learned from running in the past, that you never should stop, that you should never start walking. So that's what I did during the first week. But I was walking during the last section of my loop around my neighborhood, and that was so because I knew that I need to cool down a little bit, right? And I knew that I can always make myself go further, during the next week. Throughout this video, I'm going to be talking about some of the difficulties that I came across or some of the mistakes that I made while doing this experiment. One of the mistakes that I made was actually talking during running. Oh, I can't actually call it a mistake, really. It's just a thing to take into account. As you might notice, I had help with this challenge because my boyfriend was doing it along with me. So most of the runs I spent with him. So it was pretty easy for me in terms of completing each day of running, because I knew that it's going to be something we can do together with my boyfriend. That was easy, but there are things to be aware of when running with a buddy, because we were talking most of the time during the first week of the 30 days. So that's something that was messing with my breathing pattern, and I think that's what made the runs slightly more difficult than they could have been. Today is day number 8 of the challenge and day number 7 of running. So here I am. Obviously, I knew that that's something that happens when you run and talk at the same time. It becomes more difficult for you to run and to talk, but I wasn't really focused on it, again, because I wanted to do the process as comfortable for me as possible. But once I started to think about how I want to progress and how I want to be able to run for longer and to run faster, I started to realize that I'm not seeing any progress during the first week. And I started to look for some things that might be interfering with my progress. So one of those things was talking while running. So that's something I try to eliminate during the rest of the challenge. The first week and a half were really discouraging because I didn't feel any kind of improvement whatsoever, and I was convinced that I should be able to see, a little improvement each day. That didn't happen at all. In fact, I got an impression that every day was harder and harder for me physically. I don't know why. but it really felt like that. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I hated every single time I was running. But I knew I wasn't gonna stop. It was still easy for me to go out and complete the run. It's super easy today. That's probably because I'm not talking too much. And it's also warmer today. So it feels really nice for the first time, I think. The first time when I felt any kind of lightness and enjoyment from the run was on the 10th day of the experiment, which was the 9th run. And I have a couple of assumptions why I felt better that day. Believe me, it wasn't because it was easier for me to run. It was just as hard, but there were certain factors that made that run more enjoyable. One of them is that the weather actually got better that day, and I got to wear my shorts once again, and like a top, and that felt really, really nice. I love the sun, I love summer, so that was something that really made me feel better. Yeah, another thing is that that's the exact situation when I discovered that talking, or rather not talking, during the run gives me a lot more energy and power to spend. So yeah, it was that day when I figured out that I might as well just shut up while I ran. And that change actually made me alter my routine, and I actually started wearing a watch from that point on, right? Because I thought, it feels good, so maybe, just maybe, I might see some progress. And if I do, I want to be able to measure it. And on the 12th day of the experiment, I could finally run both loops without switching to walking. So that's when I started running 2 whole loops, which was an improvement. So I'm actually really happy with that. It doesn't seem like a lot because that last piece of the loop was like maybe 200 meters, maybe less. So it's not a big deal, but you know, like mentally that felt really good to accomplish at least something. Yeah, so one thing that I haven't heard like fitness influencers talk about is how hard it is to get outside and be seen by people. And by that I mean I'm super insecure of the leggings that I'm wearing right now, just like I am insecure about my shorts that I wore the other day. And honestly, so far, this has been the hardest part about running every day. So that's also when I started to pay attention to my heart rate. And at some point it really was concerning for me because my heart rate was so high. I'm actually not that red. That's because of the sun. But later in the challenge, I actually started to ignore my heart rate more, just because I decided to trust my perception of my state. And I think it worked okay. Yeah, now you can see. So that's why I look so red. I'm not that red, but I am pretty tired because it's another day of running. But I feel good. I think today was the first day when I was listening to music while running. So that was nice, but it definitely took more energy out of me in the beginning. I still wasn't pushing that hard because my runs were like on the slowest side you can imagine. Like I was barely any faster than people just walking slowly. So around this time, I started to Google some questions that I had, and I started to figure out that there are different types of training. I was aware that I'm still at a level where it doesn't really matter how I train because I don't have a goal, and I didn't have a goal to run a certain distance or to run at a certain pace or anything like that. My goal was to just do a healthy thing. But I still got interested in different types of training. And all of these training methods mention different stages of, your effort that you're putting into running, which is something I couldn't afford. An easy run wasn't easy. But hey, there's a solution for everyone at any point of their training, and that is, how do you call that? I'll put it on screen somewhere. And I got interested in that too. But I also got really upset when I read some versions of the scale where you measure your perceived effort based on the effort that you're making with your muscles, right? Duh. But the thing is, I didn't feel my muscles at all. They hurt a little during the first 2 days of running, and that's all. I didn't feel them while I was running, so I couldn't really understand how I can judge my state by the work of my muscles, because I don't feel any of them. I feel like I can go faster, like a lot faster, but I know it's not gonna make me feel good. I know I'm gonna be panting, and I know I'm gonna feel like my chest is about to explode and my stomach is about to burst. So that's why I couldn't run faster. That's why I actively decided not to run faster. Yeah, so that was one of the things that brought me down. My outfit for day number 15, aka run number 14, and I was actually feeling really, really down today, but I kind of like this outfit, so it makes me feel just a teensy bit better. Yeah, I'm not gonna film outside because I don't feel like it. Sorry. But here's the outfit. So you get the idea of how I look when I run. At this point, I'm almost 3 weeks into the challenge, and I'm not seeing any progress in terms of my personal best time or in terms of how easy it feels to run. And on top of this, I'm realizing that I'm not feeling the things that a runner should feel, right? My muscles aren't working. Am I even doing anything? I tried something new today and I failed. So I didn't want to do anything, including running. But I'm here now. One more complication that you might stumble upon when you start running is shin splints. And fortunately, I didn't get one, but my boyfriend did. So I guess the only treatment for them is rest, So that can be really discouraging as well, because, for example, we've just started running and my boyfriend immediately got those shin splints. Like, what the hell? Are we supposed to rest now? So it's all very, very, very hard mentally, I would say. Because when you're running, it feels like everything is against you running. Yeah, so that's fun. I didn't show up yesterday because it was raining and it was all just kind of gloomy. I wasn't feeling it at all. Well, I can say the same thing about today, but I'm here and it doesn't feel good. So far. At least I can enjoy the beautiful view of this small village. The trees are all colorful now. On my 19th run, I decided to do something unusual, and that being interval running, right? So I figured that I might start doing something a bit more exciting, more interesting, just because I was getting more and more frustrated with the fact that I wasn't seeing any progress whatsoever. So I decided to do something new and fun. So my interval work on that day was that I was running faster than usual for 3 minutes, and then I was walking for 2 minutes. The reason why I was walking and not like jogging lightly is because even jogging lightly was very hard for me. The only way I could balance out the new intensity of running faster than usual was by walking during the rest periods. Yeah, and as I expected, it was super fun. It was still difficult, of course, because when I was running those 3 minutes faster than usual, I was feeling it. I was feeling that I'm out of breath, obviously, like my heart rate is going up, I'm red, and like the blood is circulating and so on and so forth. But it wasn't much harder than usual. That was a big surprise for me. Like, I felt like I was dying just the same as I was on previous runs. And during walking periods, I felt just perfect. I was recovering pretty quickly during those intervals. However, those intervals were super fun for 2 reasons that are kind of connected. So the first reason being that I felt speed. I was running for pleasure this time, not to just keep moving, but to be fast. It felt so good and so nice, to feel the wind with my face. And it was nice to be faster than people on the sidewalk. And it felt great. I really liked the speed. And it's also quite rewarding because you know that the period that you're running is pretty short. Like, it's not those 20 minutes, right? It's only 3 minutes. So you can do it. Like, you can push yourself. It's only 3 minutes. It's fine. And you're feeling like this drive. So it's really nice. And the second reason why interval running was enjoyable for me is that I actually felt my muscles for the first time during this experiment. So since I was running faster, my muscles obviously started to engage a lot more. So I felt that my legs are actually participating in this activity and not only my heart and my lungs. So the moral of the story is interval running rocks. Yeah, in fact, that was the first and only time that I did interval training this month. I'm not happy about it, but I was actually traveling during the last period of the challenge. So I was just going with the flow and I wasn't thinking too much about what kind of workout I want to do. So let's move on to that part, okay? So as I said, I traveled to a different city, and there I have my relatives who are also into running, so that was ideal. The thing is that my relatives are really into running, so they do long distances, much longer than I was used to during the challenge. So that's why I ended up doing distances like 7 kilometers. So that was obviously difficult because I had to push myself through all of those kilometers. But to be honest, I was walking a lot and I'm still proud of it. I didn't want to push myself too hard, so I did great anyway. And on my 24th run, I did something crazy. I decided that I'm finally ready for sprinting. And I can't tell you how excited I was because I love sprinting. That's my favorite form of running. Sprinting just makes you feel so powerful. I love it. I can't tell you how much I love it, but I'm pretty sure you can tell by my smile. Because just thinking about it makes me super excited. So I thought that I was ready for it, and that was only partially true. What happened that day, I jogged to the stadium. I sprinted, I think 3 times there. Then I decided that's enough, and I walked back. In terms of my lungs and my heart, sprinting was hard. But not while I was actually running. That part was bearable. Once I stopped, I could feel that there's not enough air coming in, not enough oxygen coming in. So I started to feel dizzy for like solid maybe 1 or 2 minutes. So despite that, sprinting felt wonderful. And of course, if we talk about sprinting, we must mention muscles. And let me tell you that they worked. I could finally feel that I'm running, that I'm not just wasting my time trying to make walking harder. So it was super, super nice. And then came my 25th workout, my 25th run, which eventually became the last run of this challenge. And there are different reasons for that. But the main reason was that sprinting actually had some consequences that I wasn't aware of during that last run. So what happened actually is that I was traveling back home on the next day after the last run. On the 26th of September, I woke up with a peculiar pain in my calf. It was to the point that I couldn't stand on that leg, on that right leg. I couldn't walk with it, so I was limping all the way through my airport, through my plane, through my train. And actually, when I think about it, when I woke up, I also couldn't stand on that leg. But like once I stretched it, I thought, like, I made myself believe that it made it better. And as you can imagine, that didn't vanish after I came back home. And in fact, I couldn't stand on that leg for maybe 2 or 3 days after I came back. So I tried to move as little as I could, obviously. And even after that, I was really scared of stretching that leg. So like running was out of the question. And also, when I counted the days of this challenge that have passed, it turned out that it was in fact 30 days sharp. So it was really nice to know that even though I got a little injured, I finished the challenge and I managed to complete 25 runs within those 30 days. Honestly, that's insane. Like, saying this out loud makes me so proud for doing this, for completing this, and it was also really fun. And I think I've learned a lot. And the main lesson, I think, is just that we shouldn't get too upset if something doesn't work out the way we want it to, because it's just life. There are always going to be some obstacles that we can't overcome. There's just no point in beating ourselves up about it. Yeah, so one of the lessons is also that maybe don't sprint to the best of your ability when you're just starting out. A month into running doesn't necessarily mean that you can sprint using all of your energy and all of your muscle potential, because you can, in fact, end up with an injury. And one more thing. Right after I came back from my trip, I got sick. It's been like maybe 20 days since I got sick, and I still have that leftover cough. That's just on the topic of setbacks, right? We always think that once we hype ourselves up to do something, it's all gonna be a smooth ride. But it's really not. And this experiment really opened my eyes on that. So I'm hyper aware now of how relentless life can be towards our goals. Yeah, so keep that in mind if you want to do something like this as well. And I want to address the question that I think is on your minds right now. And that question being, will I continue running after this challenge is over? Now the coughing has almost stopped, so I can run again. And I have done a few runs after that. I think 2 or 3, but not a ton. And the reason for that being that I live in a climate that has seasons, that has seasonal changes, including temperature changes. I don't love winter at all, and the last thing I want to do to myself during that season of the year is run outside. I'm sorry, I'm not that kind of person. Like, I've tried it. Like, I can do it, obviously, it's fine. Like, you just need to wear enough clothes, and you need to choose the time of day properly. And, like, you need to be careful with your breathing. But it sucks so much. It's just not enjoyable. Obviously, I don't want to lose the habit, and I also don't want to lose some sort of benefits that I gained. I'm sure there are some benefits, and I'm sure there is some progress in terms of my cardiovascular health that I'm just not capable of noticing. So I don't want to lose those health benefits. That's why I'm going to continue running outside or inside on a treadmill as often as I see fit. Alright, so now I'm gonna put the before and after shots on the screen, but you're not gonna know which one is before and which one is after. So here they are, and I'd like you to guess which one is before and which one is after. But yeah, as you can imagine, the point of this is that I see no difference. And that's fine too. I was a little upset when I took the after shots And apparently running on its own doesn't do it for me, at least not for a month, right? So I either need to be running consistently for much longer, or I need to actually think about my diet. So that's something I think I'm gonna work on next. It's time for me to address my sugar addiction. So if you want to see that, stay tuned, because I think one of the next videos is going to be about me quitting sugar. Not quitting, who am I kidding, but reducing the amount of sugar that I intake. Yeah, so that should be fun for me. That's going to be wonderful. So these are my plans for my future fitness journey. And yeah, I'd like to hear some of your comments on that. Maybe you have some advice. That would be wonderful. I would really appreciate it. And if you have done something similar to this, please share as well, because I like reading about people's experiences on different forums. And YouTube can be a forum if you want it to, right? So let's share. And yeah, I'm excited to do some more fitness challenges, because that's my goal at the moment, to become the best version of myself. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll hopefully see you around sometime. Bye bye.